They didn't fall like rain, meteors, or accidents. These creatures dropped deliberately from the sky above us last night.
No wings, no storms, no explanations. Just bodies, shapes, and living things plunging straight down onto roads, homes, oceans, and cities, caught on camera by ordinary people who never expected to witness the impossible. Scientists are stunned because gravity alone doesn't explain this. These weren't random events. They were controlled descents, silent releases, and calculated drops that defy biology, physics, and everything we thought ruled the air above our heads. Something is moving through the sky, and sometimes it lets things fall. The footage you're about to see forces one terrifying question. What decides when, where, and what comes down?
Before we dive in, like, comment, and subscribe to Mystery Footage Uncovered, now.
Under heavy overcast, above a rural municipality, a fixed outdoor camera recorded the sky filling with hundreds of small dark shapes. They did not swarm, they did not scatter. Instead, they descended together, slowly, evenly, almost rhythmically, ignoring wind direction and atmospheric drag. The descent pattern defies known insect behavior. There is no chaotic motion, no collision avoidance, no panic dispersal. Weather data confirms stable pressure, no convection, no updrafts. Each organism falls as if released at the same altitude, at the same moment. Witnesses reported the event lasted less than 2 minutes, then stopped completely. Historical records describe similar falls across centuries, often dismissed as superstition. Modern footage now shows timing consistency, altitude correlation, and wide area synchronization that folklore never could. If airborne organisms can be held in suspension and released simultaneously, what trigger initiates the drop, and what intelligence decides when the release occurs? Late at night along a coastal promenade, a bystander filming city lights captured something far more dangerous than scenery. A luminous column appeared above the skyline and began descending, bright, narrow, and perfectly vertical. The glow did not flicker, it did not fragment. It moved steadily downward, slipping behind buildings without casting shadows or producing sound. Analysis rules out meteors, flares, or aircraft failures. The light's intensity remains constant despite rapid descent, and its trajectory lacks the curve of gravity-driven motion. The column narrows as it falls, suggesting controlled energy confinement rather than combustion. No impact was recorded. No explosion, just disappearance below the visible horizon. Security cameras near the waterfront later reported brief electromagnetic interference, then nothing. If high-energy objects can descend near dense civilian infrastructure without warning or consequence, how thin is the margin between observation and catastrophic contact we never see coming? Under low cloud cover, in a quiet residential area, a phone camera captured animals falling directly from the sky. Cats, small mammals. They descended calmly, landing with minimal injury as pets below scattered in confusion. There were no planes, no balloons, no storms, just clouds and falling life. Witnesses reported silence, no engine noise, no rotor wash. Meteorological data ruled out atmospheric lift. Veterinarians later confirmed the animals showed no trauma consistent with terminal velocity, suggesting slowed descent or staged release. Within minutes, the sky cleared. The event ended. Historical records describe similar incidents, long labeled superstition. Now they arrive with HD video, timestamps, and eyewitnesses. If the boundary between ground life and the sky is more permeable than we believed, how long have transfers like this been happening? Quietly, repeatedly, and just out of sight? At approximately 9:10 a.m., during light rain in a crowded commercial district, a shop owner raised their phone after hearing sharp impacts against glass. The footage shows elongated biological fragments scattered across cars, storefront windows, and rooftops. They strike with enough force to stick, clinging to metal and glass, yet there is no wind, no storm surge, no turbulence. What alarms investigators most is the condition of the material. The fragments show no freezing damage, no dehydration, no signs of prolonged exposure, implying they were airborne only briefly. Their distribution is unnervingly precise, spread evenly across several blocks rather than splattered outward from a single source. No nearby transport accidents, industrial releases, or animal facilities were active. Radar logs show clear skies above the cloud layer. This was not debris thrown upward. It was placed downward. If biological matter can be deposited with this level of accuracy in city centers, what unseen delivery system is operating silently above everyday human activity? Shortly after midnight in a mountainous region, a dashcam recorded a bright sphere exiting cloud cover at high speed. The object glowed intensely, then impossibly slowed. There was no sonic boom, no fragmentation, no explosion. It decelerated as if braking against something invisible. The footage shows a clear violation of inertial physics. A gravity-driven object cannot reduce speed so abruptly without force application. Yet no propulsion plume, shockwave, or debris appears. The sphere dims gradually, not violently, then vanishes from view. Experts reviewing the clip note the descent path is vertical, not orbital. This was not debris re-entering randomly. It was directed. If objects can enter the lower atmosphere and choose when to stop, what system governs that decision, and how often does it decide not to? In rural Midwest farmland under heavy overcast skies, multiple witnesses captured a winged shape separating from the cloud layer in late afternoon. At first glance, it appears bird-like until it descends without flapping. The appendages bend under load but never generate lift. Then, impossibly, the object changes direction mid-fall. The pause is brief but unmistakable. Gravity seems to release its grip for just a moment before the entity slides laterally at an angle no muscle-powered organism should achieve. It doesn't glide, it redirects. Witnesses reported complete silence as it vanished behind distant tree lines. Aviation experts ruled out drones and experimental aircraft. Biologists rejected known species. The structure behaves neither fully biological nor mechanical, hovering like a balloon yet maneuvering like a guided weapon. Ancient accounts of sky beasts once sounded absurd, until modern cameras began capturing their movements. If life can exist and maneuver above us without wings, engines, or gravity as we understand it, what ecosystem have we been ignoring overhead? During a violent electrical storm off the Florida coast, a civilian filming lightning unknowingly recorded something far more disturbing. As a bolt illuminates the cloud base, a dark humanoid silhouette detaches from the storm and begins descending vertically. It doesn't spin, it doesn't flail, it falls as if guided. What shocks analysts most is the motion itself. The figure briefly slows mid-descent, then continues downward with stable orientation before vanishing beneath the cloud layer. This behavior defies gravity-only physics and doesn't match debris ejection or human freefall. There's no visible parachute, wings, or propulsion, yet the fall is controlled. Meteorologists reviewing the footage note unusual electromagnetic activity in the cloud cell, raising the possibility that the storm wasn't just concealment, but power. Historical folklore once described beings that ride lightning, dismissed as myth. Now, high frame rate cameras suggest storms may be doing more than producing weather. If storms can hide or enable descents like this, how often has extreme weather masked arrivals we never noticed? After heavy rainfall near Tijuana-adjacent streets, dash cams and phones recorded dozens of small biological forms suddenly raining onto roadways. There were no storm winds, no tornadoes, no waterspouts. The organisms fell straight down, clustering in a tight zone as if released rather than scattered. Meteorological data ruled out uplift. The distribution pattern suggests a single drop point from altitude, not environmental transport. Some of the creatures were alive on impact, others weren't. None matched known migratory or airborne species. Officials labeled it unexplained biological fallout and moved on. But similar events appear in historical records worldwide. Frogs, fish, unknown life forms, long dismissed as anomalies. Now, synchronized footage and precise data raise a darker possibility. These organisms weren't carried by weather, they were delivered. If living matter can be selectively released from the sky, what decides where and when the drop occurs? In a snow-covered forest during winter nightfall, a tripod-mounted camera documented a coordinated search operation following reports of a descent. A narrow beam scans the terrain methodically. At the edge of the frame, silhouettes stand still, watching, waiting. Thermal sensors detect localized heat anomalies inconsistent with human bodies, yet no aircraft noise, no wreckage, and no impact crater are found. There are no footprints leading inward, only outward. The search pattern is not chaotic. It is controlled, deliberate, containment-focused rather than rescue-oriented. Responders do not call out. They do not advance quickly. They hold distance. This was not a crash recovery. It was an area lockdown without debris. If response teams train for incidents that leave nothing behind, what exactly are they expecting to move once the searchlights turn off? During a winter storm at dusk, multiple Suburban security cameras recorded dense, stone-like objects falling vertically from low cloud cover. They didn't tumble. They didn't scatter. They struck the ground with controlled trajectories and showed no fragmentation on impact. Hail was ruled out immediately. These objects were too dense, too localized, and fell independently of wind direction. Nearby weather radar briefly detected solid returns that vanished mid-track as if the mass disengaged from atmospheric interaction. Residents described the sound as dead. Not crashing, not cracking, just heavy contact. No debris fields, no source clouds, no explanation. Authorities quietly collected samples and classified the incident as weather-related, despite contradictions. If solid mass can appear above neighborhoods without origin, warning, or trace, how many similar events have already been written off as storms when they were something else entirely? At 8:02 a.m., during peak traffic, a civilian dashcam captured a dark object plunging straight down onto a multi-lane roadway. It doesn't arc, spin, or scatter. It drops like it was released deliberately. The impact occurs just meters ahead of moving vehicles, followed by a thin column of smoke, but no explosion, no shockwave. Analysts note the descent speed abruptly slows just before contact, suggesting controlled deceleration rather than free fall. The smoke implies residual heat, yet nearby cars remain undamaged by pressure or debris. Whatever fell behaved like wreckage, but moved like something guided. If objects can be neutralized above cities and still descend intact into traffic corridors, how often are civilians unknowingly driving beneath unseen interception zones? Under heavy cloud cover at dusk, a phone camera records multiple lights pulsing inside a storm cell. They don't flash like lightning. They don't drift with wind. Instead, they separate, regroup, and move laterally in formation. Quiet, synchronized, deliberate. Meteorologists rule out aircraft and drones due to altitude and weather conditions. The lights remain confined to a single cloud layer, as if operating inside it. Their intensity rises and falls together, suggesting shared control or a unified structure presenting multiple nodes. Folklore once blamed storms for hiding strange things. Now, high-resolution footage raises a darker question. Are clouds merely cover, or active operating environments for something we don't monitor? Just after sunrise on a remote Atlantic shoreline, a beachgoer filming rough waves captured something that instantly shattered logic. From the low cloud ceiling, a massive winged shape descends, not diving, not gliding, but lowering itself deliberately. Beneath it hangs a second form, human-shaped, limp, swaying violently in the coastal wind. The carrier doesn't struggle. It doesn't flap harder. It simply maintains altitude as if gravity is optional. The wings bend and flex like living tissue, yet the load below exceeds the lift capacity of any known flying animal by orders of magnitude. Crosswinds push hard enough to ground helicopters nearby, but the creature holds steady, correcting its position with terrifying precision. The suspended figure never slips, never drops. This isn't a hunt, it's transport. Biomechanical analysis suggests force generation beyond muscle-driven flight, blurring the line between organism and machine. If something can lift a human body from open air without effort, how many disappearances never touched the ground at all? At 8:20 p.m., during peak traffic in Accra, Ghana, a dashcam recorded a glowing red point hanging motionless above the city skyline. Cars move, people walk, no alarms sound. Then the light begins to descend, straight down, perfectly vertical, without flicker or fragmentation. There is no sonic boom, no exhaust, no smoke. The brightness remains constant, as if regulated internally. defying every known behavior of meteors, flares, or aircraft. The descent speed never changes. It doesn't accelerate. It doesn't slow. It simply lowers itself into the urban sprawl until buildings obscure it from view. Witnesses reported no explosion, no impact sound. The light just vanished. Physicists reviewing the footage note behavior consistent with controlled electromagnetic stabilization, not gravity-driven motion. Similar lights have been recorded worldwide, always descending, never crashing. If glowing objects can lower themselves into cities undetected, how many arrivals have already happened without anyone realizing what they were watching? Late at night in a quiet U.S. suburb, a backyard security camera recorded a sight that felt wrong the moment it appeared. A perfectly straight line of evenly spaced lights materialized overhead, stretching across the sky like a luminous scar. It moved silently, smoothly, without deviation. There was no engine noise, no wind disturbance, no blinking patterns consistent with aircraft. Frame analysis shows no parallax shift matching known satellites, suggesting movement through atmospheric layers, not orbit. The lights didn't drift. They advanced with rigid precision, maintaining exact spacing as if bound together by an invisible structure. The formation crossed the entire sky in seconds, then vanished without acceleration, deceleration, or fade. Just gone. Aviation authorities reported no flights. Space agencies reported no launches. Radar showed nothing trackable. If multiple objects can cross residential airspace in silent formation without appearing on any system, how crowded is the sky with traffic we were never meant to notice? Over a major U.S. skyline, a dashboard camera captured multiple luminous trails appearing simultaneously above the clouds. They were evenly spaced, identical in brightness, perfectly aligned. Then they began descending, together. This wasn't meteor breakup. Meteors scatter. These didn't. They moved as a unit, maintaining formation while slowing in perfect synchronization. Just before reaching rooftop level, every trail stopped at once and vanished. No impacts were recorded, no debris recovered. Radar briefly registered transient returns that disappeared before tracking could lock. Air traffic control reported nothing unusual. The most unsettling detail? The timing. Each descent lasted exactly the same duration, down to the frame, suggesting coordination, not coincidence. If multiple objects can enter urban airspace in formation and choose whether to complete descent or abort, what criteria determines when they stop and when they don't? During heavy rain in a Texas commercial district, a civilian filming flooded streets noticed something disturbing scattered across a parking lot. Small biological bodies, dozens of them, lying still. No funnel clouds, no vortex, no explanation. Meteorological data ruled out waterspouts and tornadoes. The species involved showed no signs of prolonged aerial exposure, no freezing damage, no dehydration, suggesting they hadn't fallen far, or long, or naturally. The distribution pattern was tight and deliberate, as if released rather than carried. Similar events have occurred globally for centuries, long dismissed as folklore. Now, with synchronized cameras, weather overlays, and timestamps, the pattern is impossible to ignore. Authorities collected samples. Results were never released. If living organisms can be relocated and dropped from the sky without storms or aircraft, what method of transport leaves no trace, except what falls at our feet? At 6:45 p.m., as commuters returned home in a quiet U.S. suburb, a pedestrian raised their phone just in time to capture something deeply wrong above the power grid. Multiple incandescent trails appeared at once, descending in parallel lines directly through overhead utility corridors. Sparks shed from the objects, yet they never broke apart, never scattered, never drifted with the wind. Each trail fell with controlled spacing, slipping between cables without triggering flashes, outages, or transformer failures. The glowing material behaved unlike fireworks or molten debris. It burned, but stayed intact. It fell, but avoided contact. Engineers reviewing the footage noted trajectory stability, inconsistent with gravity-only descent, suggesting guidance or a localized field shaping its path. Even more unsettling, nearby substations recorded brief signal noise spikes, then nothing. No infrastructure damage was reported, no explanation released. If energized material can pass through civilian power corridors without disruption, what systems are being tested silently above neighborhoods before anyone notices consequences? Just before dawn in a restricted European monument district, a professional camera captured a scene authorities never acknowledged publicly. Inside a sealed perimeter, a fractured pod rested on ancient stonework. Its shell was split inward, not outward. No blast marks, no debris field. Inside, a biological form sat upright, motionless, yet unmistakably alive. The entity's proportions were wrong. Limbs bent at angles unfamiliar to human anatomy, while the head was oversized, smooth, and unnervingly symmetrical. Hazmat personnel surrounded the pod, moving with rehearsed precision. No medical urgency, no confusion, only containment. Later analysis suggested the pod decelerated before impact, contradicting freefall physics. This wasn't a crash, it was an arrival. Authorities cleared the area within minutes. Footage vanished shortly after. If recovery teams already know how to respond to non-human occupants, how many similar landings never escape sealed zones or public awareness? In full daylight above open countryside, a zoom-enabled phone camera locked onto a pale figure suspended against a flawless blue sky. Long white wings extended unevenly from its body, flexing slightly, but never flapping. The figure banked left, then right, adjusting orientation with precision that defied wind, lift, or thermal currents. Its altitude remained constant, even increasing briefly, despite no visible propulsion. The body stayed rigid through maneuvers that should have caused stall or descent. No birds reacted. No aircraft crossed its path. It moved like something testing airspace rather than inhabiting it. Aviation analysts reviewing the clip noted glide ratios beyond any known biological structure. It hovered like a glider, turned like a powered craft, and exited frame without losing height. If organisms exist that can navigate airspace without effort or mechanics, what else shares the sky, completely unnoticed, until it chooses not to be? During a steady rain on a wooded two-lane road, a dashcam recorded a sudden obstruction ahead. Dozens of small biological bodies covered the asphalt, with more falling intermittently from above. There was no funnel cloud, no vortex, no wind shear, just rain and falling life. Drivers stopped in shock as the animals lay scattered in a narrow corridor, not dispersed randomly. Weather data confirmed no uplift mechanisms capable of transport. Veterinary inspection later showed minimal trauma, no signs of prolonged exposure, and no freezing, suggesting brief displacement, not storm-driven travel. Similar incidents have been documented worldwide for centuries, long dismissed as myth. Now they appear again, captured with timestamps, GPS, and meteorological overlays. If living organisms can be relocated and released without natural forces, what process decides when a road becomes a drop zone? And who controls the timing? At midday in a busy city intersection, a driver filming light rain noticed something falling, one body at a time. Poultry-sized animals descended vertically, slowly, almost gently, landing alive but disoriented on the pavement. There was no wind, no flock overhead, no visible source. The descent rate was wrong, too slow for free fall, too fast for glide. Analysts suggest partial suspension before release, as if gravity was briefly interrupted. The animals showed no panic response mid-air, no defensive movement, implying controlled displacement rather than accidental lift. Traffic halted. Pedestrians stared upward. The sky offered nothing. Moments later, the event stopped. No more bodies fell. No explanation followed. If biological cargo can be held above cities and released selectively, what platforms exist overhead that never register as aircraft, satellites, or weather phenomena? At 5:40 p.m., over Tampa, Florida, a bright object was filmed descending against a clear blue sky. Broad daylight, no storms, no clouds. The object emitted no contrail, no sound, and no heat distortion. It accelerated downward, then abruptly stopped mid-air and vanished. Physics immediately breaks here. There's no atmospheric burn, no ballistic arc, no aircraft behavior. Its luminosity remains constant despite speed changes, ruling out meteors or debris. The sudden halt defies inertia, suggesting internal mass control or a biological tolerance to forces that would liquefy known organisms. Military analysts declined comment. Civilian radar briefly detected a transient return that failed to track like any known object. The footage remains unexplained, circulating quietly among researchers who admit one thing off record: it doesn't behave like technology. If something can enter and exit our airspace without heat, sound, or trace, how many systems designed to protect us are already blind to it? At 3:12 a.m. in a quiet residential neighborhood outside Bend, Oregon, a home security camera captured something no one was prepared to explain. The footage begins with stillness, no wind, no aircraft noise, until a circular mass drops straight down from the night sky and slams into the backyard soil without explosion. Seconds later, shadowy figures appear around the impact site, moving with synchronized precision that doesn't resemble human panic or animal confusion. The object itself reflects light unevenly, not like metal or stone, but like a surface that absorbs and redirects illumination. The figures show no hesitation, no visible reaction to cold or impact, and their movements suggest intent rather than survival. Frame-by-frame analysis reveals no propulsion residue, no parachutes, no mechanical joints. Only coordinated behavior around a fallen structure that looks less like debris and more like something delivered. If this descent was controlled, not accidental, who decided that backyard was the destination? In broad daylight over an agricultural field, multiple witnesses recorded a disc-shaped object descending slowly from the sky. Dark smoke or material pours from its underside as it falls, yet the object never spins, never tumbles. It stabilizes itself mid-air, hovering just above ground level. The expelled material does not ignite like fuel. It does not scatter like debris. It drops in controlled streams, pooling beneath the object. No engine noise, no visible lift system. Despite visible damage, the disc resists gravity with precision. Aviation experts reviewing the footage note orientation control inconsistent with mechanical failure. This was a managed descent, a release. If damaged objects can still stabilize, hover, and discharge contents safely in open fields, what kind of fail-safe technology exists above us, operating quietly, repeatedly, and without acknowledgement? In daylight outside a commercial building, witnesses film a faceted metallic object resting on a parked car's hood. The vehicle isn't crushed. The windshield isn't shattered. There's no crater, no debris field. The object's symmetry suggests design, not random scrap. Its intact condition implies reduced speed before impact. Something slowed it. There were no cranes, aircraft, or overhead systems active. Within minutes, authorities cordon off the area without explanation. Engineers reviewing the footage note one detail: the object looks placed, not dropped. If engineered devices can descend gently into city streets without warning, how many similar recoveries are quietly classified before the public ever asks questions? A fixed security camera overlooking a hillside neighborhood records a thin, perfectly straight beam descending at dusk. There's no thunder, no branching, no spread, just a clean line, followed by a brief flash at a single ground point. Unlike lightning, the beam shows no divergence. Unlike explosives, the flash produces no debris. Experts suggest energy transfer rather than detonation, implying targeting accuracy rather than atmospheric discharge. Residents report no warning systems, no alerts, no aircraft noise. If directed energy can strike residential zones with this precision and silence, what separates an experiment from an active deployment, and who decides where the beam lands? On a quiet beach under gray skies, a phone camera captures seawater turning deep red as it pushes inland. The color doesn't swirl or thin. It advances in a uniform front, holding its density. Authorities report no algal blooms, no industrial spills, no runoff events. The coloration appears suddenly, then stabilizes. Witnesses mention unusual aerial activity offshore earlier that morning. Oceanographers reviewing the footage note the sharp boundary and consistency are incompatible with natural diffusion. This wasn't something blooming upward, it was introduced downward. If substances can be deposited into oceans from above without detection, how many marine mysteries are misclassified as natural cycles instead of external intrusions? In a suburban parking lot, a large reflective sphere hangs motionless beneath cloud cover. It doesn't rotate. It doesn't drift. It makes no sound. A phone camera captures its shadow fixed to the ground below. There are no cables, no balloons, no visible propulsion. Wind conditions change, but the object holds position. Its surface reflects light unevenly, as if subtly shifting texture. Engineers reviewing the footage can't identify a lift mechanism or energy source. It simply stays. If objects can occupy shared airspace without movement, noise, or power signatures, how many have already been dismissed as illusions, simply because they did nothing at all? As this journey comes to an end, one truth feels impossible to ignore. The sky is no longer just empty space above us. What we've seen, objects falling without storms, creatures descending without wings, lights moving with intention, forces us to confront a reality far more unsettling than fiction. These moments weren't captured in secret labs or staged environments. They appeared above homes, roads, oceans, and cities where ordinary lives were unfolding. That's what makes them terrifying. They blur the line between coincidence and control, between nature and something far older, far smarter, and far less understood. Perhaps these events are warnings. Perhaps they are accidents. Or perhaps they are reminders that humanity has never truly owned the space above its head. The fear doesn't come from what fell. It comes from not knowing why, how, or who decides when it happens. Every unanswered question leaves the door open just a little wider. If these sightings unsettled you, you're not alone. Share your thoughts, theories, and instincts in the comments, because collective curiosity is how mysteries begin to crack. And before you go, like, comment, and subscribe to Mystery Footage Uncovered so you don't miss the next moment when the sky refuses to stay silent.